Welcome to this online worship service of the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock in Manhasset, New York. I'm Reverend Jaye Brooks, one of the ministers here, along with Reverend Jennifer Brower and Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. Ours is a congregation of people with different theological beliefs, but shared values, foremost among them, respect for the inherent worth and dignity of every person. In this month, when our worship theme is Becoming, today we'll spend a little time together considering the ways in which each of us, born from mystery into mystery, learns and grows, and with time and grace, becomes more fully human. The idea that with practice we can become more fully human is based on a book by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend William R. Murray, one of our faith tradition's leading humanist theologians. Whatever theological beliefs we hold, there's virtue in personal growth and spiritual deepening. Human beings aren't like caterpillars who cocoon for a while and then burst out fully refashioned as butterflies. Our metamorphosis is usually less dramatic and probably not as biologically guaranteed. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we're lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone.
Each Sunday we light the chalice of our religious heritage. We do this for our ancestors who taught us through their various religious traditions, and by their actions for justice and hope. We do this for our children who are learning the traditions we teach and who learn more from our actions than our words. We do this for ourselves to remind us of who we are and who we seek to become. This flame symbolizes the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment.
Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained. To bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift
Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other.
In Unitarian Universalism, there's a close connection between faith, what we feel or believe, and work, what we do. Our principles call us to action. We may have different theologies, but our shared values unite us as one faith. The word faith is more than belief alone. It's a deep spiritual call to action. Each week since the pandemic began, we've been inviting contributions to a special collection which benefits a group doing good works. The pandemic has gone on for so long, and the need is greater than ever. This week, the special collection supports Long Island Cares. Founded by the late Harry Chapin, Long Island Cares brings together all available resources for the benefit of the hungry and food insecure on Long Island. Long Island Cares seeks to increase food security for families and sponsors. Programs that help families achieve self-sufficiency. Because of the increased need for emergency food due to COVID-19, Long Island Cares has committed to staffing and operating food pantries at 4 sites around Long Island. This invitation is for those who have resources to respond to that deep spiritual call within and give to help feed those who are hungry. There are 3 ways to contribute: by sending a text, by using the donate link on our website. Be sure to choose special collection, or by using PayPal.
A 160 years ago, Abraham Lincoln, in his first inaugural address, faced an America on the brink of civil war. Lincoln urged the citizens of our fractious and divided nation to heed the better angels of our nature and find a peaceful way to resolve their differences. They did not heed those better angels, but instead went to war. Each side convinced it would win easily and quickly. The phrase, the better angels of our nature, has come into our language as a call to spiritual maturity, adulthood, wisdom, and our highest values. Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Sean Parker Dennison has used the phrase in 2 poems, which he puts in the form of letters. The first is a letter to the better angels of our nature. The second, a letter from those better angels.
Dear angels, it seems important to begin by making it clear that we are not talking about celestial winged beings. This letter is addressed instead to our better selves, the people we hope we will be when necessary. We are writing to let you know that we feel your presence insufficient and unpredictable, and when we inquire about how to make you more dependable, we are offended and opposed to the level of accountability required. We are hoping to make arrangements for an increase in the percentage of goodness and presence of admirable qualities in ourselves and in others, especially in others. We respectfully request that this come easily and with immediate delivery, a dependable warranty, and at no cost. We would be even more pleased if it could be arranged for us to become better people without needing to change or consider any needs but our own. It would also please us if our status increasingly good could be noted in some way, perhaps a cookie, perhaps a badge, a halo, so as long as it's comfortable. We hope you will consider our request and, as soon as humanly possible, not in angel time. We have already waited a long time, unaware of the seriousness of the situation. The disrepair to our reputation. Please expedite our request.
Dear one, we have received your letter, and we hate to tell you, not hate so much, but are a bit afraid to say, we cannot grant your requests as stated, but can only remind you of familiar things. First, faith. Faith in yourself and trust in others. We know it can be terrifying to be vulnerable, but only when you share your softest side will we be able to break through. Next, hope. Hope is not an empty fairy tale. It is the true story of all the times human beings like you have found a way to create the future, though you didn't know how. And of course, love. Love that demands you cherish all people, not just yourself and safety. Love that is not satisfied until every argument ends abruptly when one child says, "That hurts." There is so much to learn and relearn. The world teaches you to be hard, to negotiate and defend, to avoid giving too much and to the wrong people. There are no wrong people. You also are not wrong. And when you encounter the poor, the broken, the unhoused and unwelcome, you are looking, if you pay attention, at us, calling to you, calling you to answer your own prayers. If you want to change the world, first, be sure you are changing yourself. Be tender. Be kind. Be at peace. Be all the things you wish for. Be your own better self. It isn't without cost, but it will be free.
I know it's hard for you to change your way of life. I know it's hard for you to do. The world is full of people dying to be free. So if you don't, my friend, there's no life for you. No world for me. Let's all get together soon before it is too late. Forget about the past and let your feelings fade away. If you do, I'm sure you'll see the end is not yet near. Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here?
When my brother was about 8 years old, he had an experience with an ice cream cone. It was one of those hot summer days. Everybody was outside. The kids were in the sun, and the adults wisely on the porch in the shade. The ice cream truck came by, loudspeaker jingling its clarion call to children everywhere. My sister offered to buy my brother ice cream if he would bring one back for her. He dashed off and caught up with the truck about a block away. Did I mention it was hot? Balancing 2 ice cream cones, the little guy came walking carefully back. And by carefully, I mean slowly. And the ice cream began to melt. What would you do? Obviously, he licked the drips on his cone. He licked the drips on my sister's cone, and it was really still hot. So there were more drips, which he also licked. By the time he made it back to the house, both cones were more cone than ice cream. There was just a little hillock of ice cream at the very top of each one. My sister came eagerly forward to receive her cone. Then she saw what my brother held. Her eyes widened, her mouth opened. Shock was apparent in every line of her body. My brother, who had been fearing this reaction as he nursed those ice cream cones over the last several hundred yards, didn't wait for her to speak. Instead, with impressive accuracy, he flung both cones at her and shouted, "It's not my fault." Then he ran away. Isn't that incredibly human? His awareness of the difference between what she expected and what he had to offer, truly though through no fault of his own, gave him pangs of guilt. He anticipated anger, blame, harsh words, and bubbling up, there was his own resentment. He'd done the best he could. He'd gone to get the ice cream on a really hot day. He'd done her a favor. And walking back along that hot road, he knew she was going to be really angry. So there was no reasoned explanation, no chagrin, no apology. There was only the furious launch of 2 ice cream cones and his own preemptive shout, those classic words, "It's not my fault." What he didn't imagine was that my sister and all of us, kids and grown-ups alike, witnessing this moment in the life of an 8-year-old, didn't think it was his fault. The entire situation was clear to anyone with experience of an ice cream cone on a hot summer's day. We all got it. We didn't blame him. Well, my sister may have blamed him a little, but mostly for hitting her with 2 melty ice cream cones. But she recovered, and she understood. We've all had those moments when we feel at fault, and maybe we feel the world's disapprobation, times when everything seems unfair, times when unfairness and guilt and fear of blame prevents us from that pause to consult the better angels of our nature. If we are good learners, and those around us have been good learners too, and will give us a little grace, we can get past those feelings of self-blame and realize that the people who love us don't blame us, and even if they do, they still love us and will forgive us. That's how we learn to love. That's how we learn to make the world a little better.
Even as we seem so far, far apart, always we're together in our hearts. We can make the circle we're dreaming of if we dance in the light of love. So much has changed, but one thing's the same. Love is our shield and a shelter, though the chill wind keeps on howling. One message tried and true: you're with me and I'm with you. Even as the world seems riven in two, struggle as we might to just make do, we can make the circle we're dreaming of if we dance in the light of love. Dance in the light. You're with me and I'm with you. Let's dance.
The lessons of childhood are the foundation on which we build a human life. Not everyone gets the same lessons. Not everyone gets the right lessons. Love, grace, forgiveness, a reason to trust. Consider birth. Startled, kicking, wailing, the human infant arrives with no idea of what lies ahead, crying for the womb, longing for safety, predictability. love. Genetics, country, culture, family, with no choice, no power, no control, the new human being meets the first path. Consider early childhood. The soul struggles, stumbles, suffers, thrives, or does not, as the forces of heritage and family and nation exert their power. Some are born into chaos, whether it's warfare, natural disaster, or the abuse and brutality of a dysfunctional family of origin. Some are shaped by convention and expectation, without the flexibility, love, and guidance that helps develop spiritual maturity. I've known awesome people who overcame difficult, abusive beginnings, and I've known others whose beginnings seem to invite growth and maturity, but who somehow get stuck in misery. For many people, for me, I'm lucky enough that it's a choice whether to seek a deeper spiritual life, a more mature and compassionate ability to encounter others. I wish for all of us who can choose that the commitment to becoming fully human never falters. Our Unitarian Universalist values, especially our acknowledgement of the inherent worth of every human being, urge us to learn and grow so that our actions match our principles. When I see in the news the way that some human beings treat others as less than human, I feel both angry and deeply sad. It has been shocking to see videos from smartphones or security footage of people singled out as targets of violence solely because of their race. The increasing number of attacks on Asian Americans, often senior citizens who are brutally kicked and beaten in daylight on a public street, is so incredibly wrong. Whatever else we do, we must not give up our empathy for those who suffer these attacks. A moment of silence doesn't change what happened, but it is an opportunity for empathy and a chance to regroup and renew our own inner spiritual resources so that we can go on to do what we can to change this aspect of human life. So let's take a moment now together to hold in love all who are targets of violence because of their immutable human characteristics. When I think of my brother, at 8 years old, angry and resentful at the blame and recrimination he expected, that he feared, and then his violent impulse to hurl ice cream at his sister, I also think of him now, kind, compassionate, deeply loving, able to forgive and be forgiven. He and I escaped the childhood trauma that affects so many human beings. I'm grateful. And when I see public behavior that blames and dehumanizes others, that slips into violence that is wholly unjustified and entirely to be condemned, I wonder what it will take to change our society. A swift response to racial violence, yes, but even more so, an equal starting place for all human babies born into this world. We don't have control over the behavior of others, but we do have control over our own actions, over our commitment to personal growth and spiritual deepening. We can decide to do the work of becoming more fully human, day by day, year by year. As the poet says, if you want to change the world, first, be sure you are changing yourself. Suffering and the human behavior that causes it won't go away because we wish it would. But when we see the good in others, when we choose spiritual maturity, when we notice and celebrate the miracle of life that claims us daily, we change ourselves.
When I was a boy, each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word, and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is, everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. Challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, second-rate hand-me-down. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. 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 Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. Tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, having second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I'm walking with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. 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 Everything is holy now.
At the end of Abraham Lincoln's first inaugural address, he said to a nation on the brink of war, "We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature." We humans, we are all that has brought us to this moment. Not all of it was touched by the better angels of our nature. Not all of what our ancestors said and did reflects the values we cherish today. But we are not here to continue the worst of what they did or the worst we have experienced. If we choose to work at becoming more fully human, we are here to redeem that worst, to restore every living heart and hearthstone, to fulfill the promise of ages and embody the spirit of life.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
In this community, we hold hope close. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Now we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into all the world.